Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists out of pointless things. Why are we flying by this pointless statue in Booty Bay? Because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is Victor Ebenfall, and Victor is a Worgen druid in the first aid place in Dalaran, and he's just chilling in a bathtub. You walk in here and you look around and you're like, what? Is that a sea lion in the bathtub? But apparently he can't shapeshift out of aquatic form. If you talk to him, he says, "What are you looking at? Ain't you ever seen a sea lion before?" And you go, "Not like this." And he goes, "Yes, I'm a druid. And well, I'm kind of stuck like this for a while. I was patrolling the sea around the broken shore when an infernal crashed down into the water right on top of me. The blast was so strong it instantly knocked me unconscious. When I woke up, I was here in the care of the nurses. They say after a few days I should have the strength to shift back, but in the meantime, I'm stuck in this contraption to keep me from drying out. Do me a favor and don't mention this to any of the other druids. They'll never let me live it down." So yeah, that's pretty much it. He's just a druid stuck in aquatic form in a bathtub. And great shower curtains there, by the way. Very good. And that's number 10. 9. Number 9 is Arako the Hunter, and Arako is an orc hunter down in Vazjir just hunting fish. And for some reason, everything's going real fast down here. I don't know why. I don't know if we've gone like deep enough to where the laws of physics change, but something's going on. But I think it's funny because Arako kind of reminds me of Billy, the my WoW Machinima orc hunter. But there's a quest where a guy's like, "Hey, can you go find Arako? He seems to be missing and it's weird to send someone to go find them, but I'm running out of options." And you go find Arako and he is just hunting fish. And the reason for this is that his pet wolf got eaten by an eel and he won't go anywhere until she is safe. He also has the quote of, "Shooting fish in a barrel is easy. Shooting fish in an ocean is a little harder." So yeah, that's just Arako. You know, he's definitely not your run-of-the-mill NPC. This guy was pretty weird, and I haven't seen too much about him. You know, maybe it's because nobody really quests in Vazjir that often, but I think he definitely deserves to be on the list, and that's why he's number 9. 8. Number 8 is Silvermoon Harry, and Silvermoon Harry is a pirate who can be found at Scalawag Point, and he has an obsession with blood elves. It is really weird. So Alanya is his girlfriend, and if you talk to her, she says, "This is the only way Harry will ever talk to me. I have to keep this stupid mask on all the time." Which, listen, if that was a real life thing, you got to get out of there. That's a big red flag. And then Silvermoon Harry has to repay his debt, which is why you go talk to him, and he tries to fight you, and he's like, "Do not test me, scurvy dog. I'm trained in the ways of the Blood Knights." Which, if you don't know what a Blood Knight is, it's a Blood Elf Paladin, pretty much. And then he talks about how Blood Elf treasures, unlike any other, it's not just the gold or the silk or the gems used as materials. Sindori craftsmanship is valuable in and of itself. And so after that, you're like, all right, well, that guy was weird, but I'm never going to see him again. But then he reappears in Battle for Azeroth, where Harry is hired by the Alliance to help establish Fort Victory in Nazmir on Zandalar, and he's tricked into believing he'd be working with Blood Elves, but instead it was Blood Trolls. So overall, this guy's weird as shit. That's why he's number 8. 7. Number 7 is Idej the Wise, and Idej is a gnome mage in Drustvar, and he just lives randomly in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. I remember finding this guy being like, "Wait, who is this? Why haven't I seen this before?" And I guess because I haven't really quested much in Drustvar, but he constantly just walks around a campfire talking to Tap-Taff, pausing to unsuccessfully test a fire spell on it. And once you kill him, you can actually get the Tap-Taff the Pig quest, which gives you Tap-Taff the Pig as a pet. So if you haven't gotten that yet, there you go. I just got you a free pet. And so while researching this, I was like, this is so weird. What does this even mean? So I found on Wowhead, somebody commented named Idej the Wise, and they said, "Hey, World of Warcraft fans, a message to all the players who found Idej the Wise and his little piglet friend Tap-Taff. I would like to thank everybody. 6 years ago, my brother and I came up for the concept for Idej the Wise one afternoon at Blizzard Studios. His brother works for Blizzard, and the idea was Idej was going to be a very small in stature with a bit of a punch fire mage who likes to drink and cast mixed up spells. Idej is actually Jedi, but spelled backwards. And Idej is actually an old modified AD&D character they created 38 years ago in 1985. And they are lucky to have him put in the expansion of the game, back when, I guess, BFA was the expansion. So that was it. That's pretty much the lore of Idej. You can read more about him if you go over there and read about him or just research it. But I just think he's weird, right? He's just this random gnome mage in the mountains. He's got a bunch of animals all around. There's like a raccoon in his bed. It's just like, what's going on over here? But I love it. I think it's, you know, it kind of reminds me of in the Hobbit, the Radagast the Brown a little bit, just having all these animals in his house and stuff. Although he is trying to like cast spells on them instead of actually saving them or whatever. But overall, he's pretty weird, and that's why he's number 7. 6. Number 6 is Gordon McKellar, the assistant confetti cannon operator in Stormwind. And, you know, at first you're like, okay, whatever. He's just some random guy working on fireworks. But then he starts swimming around. And that is really what pushed it over the edge for me. Like, at first I was like, all right, you know, this guy is a little weird. But then you see him start swimming around. And it's like, there's so many questions. How does he do this, right? Like, does he have some sort of evil powers? And he might actually, because he is here because he drops the Doomsayer robes. And you disguise yourself as a Doomsayer for an hour. It's a toy that you can get. There's actually another version for the Horde, and that would be Charles Ghastly, an undead, but I don't think that guy swims around, so he's definitely not as weird. So the fact that he's swimming around is what really bothers me, right? It's just like, how is he doing it? I'm genuinely interested in how he is able to swim around, because I feel like I haven't seen really anybody else in the history of World of Warcraft just swimming around like they're in space. You know what I mean? So for that reason alone, I felt he had to be on the list, and that's why he's number 6. 5. Number 5 is Dude Brule, and Dude Brule is a Drogbar that wanders around the Stone Dark Grotto in High Mountain with his right fist up, and adventurers can fist bump him to receive the 1-hour fist bump buff, the description of which reads, "Fist bumped a Brule." Nice. This is like the good kind of weird, right? Like Silvermoon Harry was the bad kind of weird, but this guy is the good kind of weird. He just walks around trying to fist bump everybody. He's trying to improve that morale. Like, this guy should have his own achievement. You know what I mean? Like, this should be an achievement of go fist bump Dude Brule, because this is like a necessary task that every World of Warcraft player should do. And I really do love the fact that this is just his entire existence. He just wants to walk around, just fist bump some people, improve the morale, and just make everybody happier. It's like, yo, what's up, man? Fist bump, right? Like, I feel like Dude Brule is the type of guy that would love to be a greeter at Walmart, you know? Like, he gets older, he doesn't really care about making money or do anything. He just wants to make people happy, right? You walk in, he's like, yo, what's up, man? Fist bump. Like, that's the vibe I get from him. And so, even though he's weird, he's a good kind of weird. And that's why Dude Brule is number 5. 4. Number 4 is Zenkiki, and Zenkiki is a troll druid that's an initiate of the Cenarian Circle, and you receive a quest to go help him essentially learn how to become a druid and how to like play his class, right? So you take him out into the wild to kill some plagued animals, and he is really struggling. He turns into cat form and he just starts leaping all over and roaring and meowing and hitting everything but the enemy. And then he turns into a bear and he's unsure if he's even hitting the target. And then he turns into his aquatic form and he's stuck on his back and he needs you to help push him over. But I think my favorite one is when he goes into boomkin form and he just spam moonfires himself. And it genuinely made me laugh out loud because I was like, what is going on? So you might be thinking, okay, well, this guy's just some dumb troll druid, just like the hunter we saw in Vaz'jir, right? But Zenkiki's actually done a lot. He helped defend Sethria's roost on Mount Hyjal against the minions of Ragnaros. He was sent as an investigator of the primals by the Cenarian Circle, although he said he had trouble getting his flight form to work. He appeared in the Dream Grove when Malfurion named a new archdruid, although when everybody celebrated by turning into bears, cats, moonkins, or flight forms, he transformed into a lion seal. But then he becomes an assistant to the archdruid in order to learn, and in BFA, he was part of the dual Cenarian Circle Earthen Ring forces, aiding Magni Bronzebeard to heal Silithus from the wounds champion. And in Dragonflight, he joined the Dragonscale expedition and traveled to the Shady Sanctuary in the Onaran Plains of the Dragon Isles, where he can be seen speaking with Thistlee Crow. And so even though he's a weird NPC, he's made quite the journey and quite the progress, and that's why he's number 4. 3. Number 3 is Phil Gresham, and he's a vendor in Borealis that sells shoes, but he also will shine your shoes, and he just really creeps me out. I'm not gonna lie. So one thing I thought was that he had really tiny feet, and I was like, that's really weird. Like, he sells shoes, he shines shoes, but he has these really tiny feet or tiny boots, but it turns out I think his feet are just clipped into the ground, because when I look up actual pictures of him, it looks like he has normal sized feet. And then when you talk to him, he just sounds completely wasted. He's just like, oh, bits and bobs is all wasted. Right? It's just, I couldn't understand what he was saying. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he really just kind of creeps me out. I contemplated putting him higher up on the list because I'm like, he's not as weird as some of these other people, but like the vibe he gives off is just this really weird vibe. So it's a bit of an unconventional one, but I still wanted to put him on the list, and because of how weird he is to me, I put him at number 3. 2. Number 2 is Grifta, and Grifta is actually one of the most reoccurring NPCs in the entire game, appearing in every expansion except for Wrath of the Lich King. And Grifta is pretty much a scam artist that just is constantly trying to screw people over. According to Wowpedia, Grifta was initially located in the lower city markets of Shatrath, trying to sell his wares to unsuspecting bypassers, and early on he was standing next to Peacekeeper Jadar, who often contradicted and questioned Grifta's claims about his wares, leading to amusing conversations. But for a short time, Grifta was exiled from the city due to the endless reports of his shady business practices. However, when Zulaman was rediscovered, Grifta was let back into Shatrath. In Cataclysm, Grifta started selling his stuff at the Dark Moon Fair. In Pandaria, he was at the Grummel Bazaar and Kunlai Summit. In Draenor, he actually traveled to Draenor and sold some of his useless junk to garrison troops in Talador, and there's a standing order to rough him up a bit in order to get a refund. In Legion, he's in the Hall of Shadows, which is the Rogue Order Hall. In BFA, he travels to Dazar Alor in Zuldazar, where he sells his wares on the port of Zandalar. Somehow, he then made it into Shadowlands, where he's in the Broker's Den of Oribos, and in Dragonflight, he is found selling his amulets and other goods on the sly at the Obsidian Throne in the Waking Shores. So Grifta is easily one of the most notorious weird NPCs in World of Warcraft, and because of that, I had to put him at number 2. 1. And number 1 is Bud Nedrek, which is obviously a play on words for redneck. And in Burning Crusade, he was the well-spoken, often snooty explorer that Grifta sent players to just outside Zulaman. Grifta's note was short and to the point. It said, "Listen up, bud. This be the last fool I send till ya pay me all ya be owing. No more stalling." So he owed Grifta a bunch of money, apparently. And so the main thing is Bud is looking for treasure, and he knows Zulaman probably has a bunch of treasure in it, and so he pretty much wants the players to go into Zulaman and do all the dirty work for him. Then, in Wrath of the Lich King, Bud and his band of treasure seekers and troll slayers have moved on to Grizzly Hills in search of new prophets, but his fate at Zulaman had an unfortunate side effect, which is Bud pretty much lost his mind and thought he was a troll complete with a troll mask. His band of cohorts, not wanting to leave Bud behind, use him as troll bait by using his fragile state of mind to sick him on the local trolls of the area. Bud thought he's playing troll tag, but mostly what he was doing was knocking trolls silly with a frying pan, all while happily shouting "tag" to any he happened to hit. And then you think he's done after he thinks he's a troll and he's gone crazy, but he actually makes an appearance in Cataclysm where his ship gets sunk in Vazir at the opening sequence for that zone. He also appears in the Thistle Shrub Valley of Tanaris near the entrance of Uldum along with Adara, and Bud and the others were planning to drive a caravan into Uldum to search for artifacts, but they get ambushed by some pygmy, and Bud actually concocts a crazy plan to get the team and a Romkahen prince out of Tolvir City, which actually works. And that's pretty much the story of Bud Nedrek. He also appears in your garrison for a little bit, whatever. But he's just a really weird NPC that has this crazy backstory, right? Like he's in Burning Crusade, he's got a note from Grifta to repay his debt, but he becomes this big thing in Zulaman where he's hunting treasure, and then he's in Wrath of the Lich King hitting trolls. He thinks he's a troll, then he's like saving everybody in Cataclysm. Like, it's so weird. And I really do think he's like one of the most notorious weird NPCs in World of Warcraft, and for that reason, he's number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when I upload. Also, you can check out some other Pointless Top 10s. We just had volcanoes the other week. We just had houses in the middle of nowhere. Also, you can check out Zygor in the description. Use code crendor for 20% off an elite subscription. Okay? Okay. See ya.